Hello, this is Syntell Smith here. We're doing the live book discussion. I hope everybody can hear me. I am the author of Call Numbers, the book we'll be discussing this evening. Just pretty much waiting for some people to come in and, we'll start the discussion. Hopefully everybody can see me and hear me all right. To get things started, I'll say a few things about myself. As anybody who's saw or listened to the radio interview I had, I pretty much mentioned that I was a blogger in the beginning. I got into writing very young, and Call Numbers was pretty much a television series that I was working on back when I was living in New York City. Back in 2004, I had studied screenwriting and just came up with a pilot script with the concept and sat on the project for a couple of years and then revisited it again 10 years later, and decided to just turn it into a novel. I pretty much, after writing parts 1 and 2, got into the process of going the traditional publishing route, querying agents and everything, learning the whole business, and picking up everything as I go. I was rejected plenty of times, and after like 18 months of querying, I decided to just go do the self-publishing route. That was pretty much 2 years ago. I started making an account on Lulu and Ingram Spark. I got into formatting. I looked for beta readers and got pretty much input on the story per se. I did some tweaks and adjusting, and by the beginning of 2019, everything was pretty much ready, and I just got into the process of buying the ISBN numbers and making it official. So that being said, I released the book back in June. It's pretty much like looking for reviews and people to read it and give me their input. It had like a soft opening. I got a lot of support from friends and family and peers. And I've just been pretty much marketing ever since then. Like I said, book 2 is done. I just want to do some other projects before, finalizing that, which I'll return back to. It'll be coming out in September 2020, next year. I like to release my books around special events. The whole thing about releasing the first book in June is because it was my wedding anniversary. We just celebrated 10 years. And, what better way to mark the occasion of releasing my debut novel than on the same day that, I married my wife. So for the second book coming out in September next year, it'll be coming out around my birthday. So, that's the whole thing about that. Book 3 will probably come out around my wife's birthday. I'll just pretty much keep marking every occasion with a new book release every other year or so. Okay. I really hope there's people out here watching and they can hear me. Hope there's no problems or whatever. I really have no idea how to do this. This is my first Facebook Live event that I've actually ever done. So, Once we get some people in and some questions, I wanted to start talking about each character from the novel, and start with the main character, Mr. Robin Walker. I had these drawings done. I found an artist on Instagram who was very talented, and I pretty much commissioned her to do like a drawing for each of the main characters. And naturally started with Robin Walker, and you can pretty much tell that he's based on me. Red cap, a little chubby, all that stuff. It's pretty much how I was looking back in 1994. At the age of 18, going to college, graduating from high school, working part-time, attending college full-time. That's who Robin Walker is. That's pretty much me. And I made him a very interesting character with a very interesting background because I wanted to see characters I could relate to in novels. Most of these characters, they're always like, ravishly good looking, perfect physique, they don't look like everyday people, regular people, like that. So that was one of the things, I definitely want to stress. Just wanted him, I want a character that I could relate to. Someone, who's focused, maybe a little delusional or grandeur. He has aspirations that are way too high. But, what 18-year-old wasn't having like these outlandish dreams back then? So Robin Walker was pretty much, he's a social butterfly. He has his circle of friends. His friends that are like, pretty much divided. He has friends in college. He also has friends at home where he lives, but they never mix. Franklin has never met Walt or any of the other friends from college for a particular reason. It's like, separate worlds. And, some people didn't actually merge their worlds when it came to their friends. They had their college friends and they had their home friends, so that was it. So he has a very unique personality, a way of thinking. He's very blunt, very direct, very social conscious, though. I pretty much want to stress that on his introduction in the very first scene of the book. He's at a pizza store, a pizza shop, reading a newspaper, talking about current events. A lot of people didn't think that, the average 18-year-old would be doing something like that. Well, that's why I made him unique. I made him very different. Sometimes he doesn't act like the average 18-year-old, and that's a good thing. So, everything. I wonder what's going on. I wonder if I can stretch this a little. I'm still not sure if anybody is watching this or not. Let's see. Give me a second here. For all I know, no one can't get in or anything like that. Or maybe I'm doing the wrong event. Let's see. I've been tagged, but I don't know if anybody is here. Let's see. Bear with me here, people. I'm just talking to the admin to see if this is going the right way. For all I know, I could just be talking to myself. Let me try to text someone. See if they can see it. Bear with me. I may have to like stop this and start it over again. Okay, Tiffany's here. So, can you see me, Tiffany? Not really sure. Okay, yeah, okay. I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. You know, okay. Now we're getting the rest of the people in here. Okay. So I guess I did do this right. I'm not really sure. Hopefully all that other stuff that I was talking about in the beginning will be edited or taken out or whatever. But soon we'll get the rest of the members here and start the discussion. So I guess all that other stuff was just, you know, me talking to myself. Okay, I should have got my hat. I want to wear my hat. Oh my God, I forgot to wear my hat. It's my signature. It's my trademark. Okay, hopefully everybody else will start falling in here now. All right. Got one person in. Hopefully the others will join. Okay, mind you, thanks. In the meantime, like I said, I'll start all over again. Well, actually, well, I could start over again. I could start talking about something else. Or I could, like, once again, bring up all the other characters that I was bringing up. Let's talk a little bit about Augusto Chavez. Once again, find an artist to do a good drawing of how I imagine Mr. Chavez would look like from the descriptions in the book. Now, Chavez, I really didn't want to make into like the typical antagonist bad guy, but you know, he does very underhanded, sinister things. And I want to say right off the bat that I'm not villainizing any librarians. This is like, you know, just for dramatic purposes and anything like that. I respect all librarians and the jobs they do. Anything his actions do in the novel does not reflect upon librarians in real life. Like I said, this is just fiction. It's a story. Everybody plays their roles. I hope people don't take this too seriously as they're reading it. We deal with like issues like this in most of all the jobs in any occupation you do in the world. You know, there's always workplace drama, you know, favoritism, cliques here and there. So with call numbers at the 58th Street Branch Library, the librarians and the clerks are pretty much like, you know, the Jets and the Sharks, the Capulets and the Montagues. You know, they really do not get along. There's been a difference in opinion when it comes to certain policies serving the public. Augustus naturally is like, you know, a man of the people who believes in favoritism. And, you know, the senior clerk, Ms. Sonia Yi, who's right here. She believes in traditional sense, you know, treating everyone fairly, no favoritism, you know, for the good of the branch is one of the lines that she uses all the time. So workplace drama is the core of the actual novel, the story, you know. Whether you work in Walmart or you're a corporate CEO or a stockbroker, whatever, not everybody gets along. Coworkers have a tendency to clash. And the same thing even happens in a library, you know, which everybody believes would be like a nice, quiet place or something like that. And it's not the case. You know, there's always work politics. People don't get along. You know, promotions are promised. Other people feel like they should be in charge. You know, I'm pretty sure anybody could relate to that. So that's pretty much the story when it comes to, like, you know, the clerks and the librarians. And we see people like Jerry Coltrane. He's a big instigator on the clerical side. He always believes that Sonia is not doing a good job as a senior clerk. Sort of like, you know, kind of reminds me of like Raphael from Ninja Turtles. He always believes that he would be a better leader than Leonardo. One of those people, one of those challenging types. So naturally, he's always questioning Sonia's every move, and she doesn't appreciate that. But, you know, she can't just outright fire him. So she has to deal with all his nonsense. So, love the art for the characters. Thank you very much. I wish I could claim it. It's not mine. Like I said, I found this artist on Instagram. I share her work all the time. She's actually from Turkey, I believe. I can't even say her name correctly, but, you know, very talented artist. Her Instagram is r.a.x art, I believe. You know, if you could find it out there, I could probably share it or whatever. You can find it on my page, on my profile. I would definitely follow her on Instagram. Her art is very amazing. Now, I'm wondering how many people we got here. We got 3 so far. I'm wondering if anybody has any questions, because I'm really starting to run out of things to talk about here. I'm willing to answer any questions anyone has about anything. How did I get started? How do I feel about any of the reviews I've received so far? Just got my 10th review on Goodreads today from a blogger. I would probably like to address some of the issues I've been having finding support when it comes to book bloggers. You know, I've really been like putting myself out there, and, you know, I barely get anything back. I barely get any responses back or whatever. But like I said, if anybody has any questions, feel free. If not, I can just keep talking a little bit about the process. Maybe talk about how I came up with the cover, which, you know, is very interesting. It's very eye-catching. Simple, but, you know, kind of like represents the library at the best, using the card catalog cover and actually putting the title where the numbers will actually be. Okay, and people may ask, why call numbers? Why that name? Where did that title come from? I had different titles in mind originally, especially when I thought it would be a TV series. I wanted to actually call it NYPL, based on like NYPD Blue, pretty much like same concept, just, you know, letters and stuff like that. I also toyed with the idea of calling it Beyond the Shelves or Behind the Shelves. Thought that was probably an interesting title. But I came up with call numbers down the line just to keep it simple and explain, you know, what's it all about with just 2 words. Now, some people that don't know what a call number is, or like they call them Dewey Decimals, maybe kind of be thrown off by the actual title. I remember when I told my mother what it was, and she thought that it would probably be based on call numbers. She thought the title sounded like a book for like prostitutes, call girls or something like that, or like prostitutes that were doing like 1-800 numbers or something like that. So I was like, okay, that's real supportive, Mom. Thank you very much. But call numbers I thought was a good title. It's the title for the series, actually. It's going to be there throughout the whole thing. They have like subtitles for the rest of the books. And I'll give things away. Book 2 and book 3 are already planned. I don't know how long the series will go. I think it's pretty much based on how it's received. But I ordered my first set of ISBN numbers 10 at a time. So I used 2. I have 8 more. So it's pretty much like 4 books right there. Book 2, like I said, is done. I don't want to use a set of ISBNs for book 3 yet, because I'm also coming out with 2 standalone novels that will be completely different. I didn't want to be typecasted or known as the library guy, so I want to write about other different books, other different stories as well. Okay, we got a couple more people here. Like I said, does anybody have any questions so far? Any comments? Okay. All right, I didn't see all the comments down here. I had to scroll down a little bit. All right. Ryan Smith has joined. Hello, Ryan. Hello, everybody else. Good evening, Miss Harris. Thank you for joining us. I want to thank you again for the interview. It's been very helpful. Okay. Tiffany said book bloggers tend to go for the big names because it increases their own traffic. That is true. That is very true. I just wish that, someone give a new author a chance, Go out on a limb to help someone. Okay, Tiffany, how long have you been planning this book or series? Good question. Like I said, I started back in 2004 when I wanted to make it a TV show. I've been planning it for a good 10 years after that, when I decided to make it into a novel in 2014. I adapted the screenplay, the plot, pilot script into a novella. Then I decided to extend it into a full novel. It pretty much wrote itself. Then it started to get a little too big, so I had to split it up. That's how books 1 and 2 are already done. Technically, it was supposed to be the very first book, and it would have been like 500 pages if I kept it all together. And I don't think, you should start that big for your very first book. So I definitely had to cut it in half. But like I said, depending on how it's received and my ISBN numbers and everything like that, I'm originally planning it to go more than 10 books. I don't want to say the real official number yet, but it's going to be more than 3, more than 5, hopefully even more than 10. I have an end game. I know how exactly it's going to end. And, I might do some like spin-offs after it, depending, how popular it gets. Because there's a lot of stories out there. Even after, the series ends, there'll be like ongoing adventures that I may like do like down the line. So it's gonna be a very big long series. I'm gonna probably stretch it out. So like I said, I have other things, other books I plan on doing, other standalones, other series even. I wish I could throw out the ideas and see, what people think of them, but you're always afraid someone's going to steal your idea, so it's best not to share them. Hello. I love your sketch character visuals. Thank you, thank you. I have so many more here. I want to really share them with everyone. I wish I could post do what they call a slideshow while doing live. I don't know how to do that. I don't know if it's actually done or possible. So I just like to pretty much hold up everybody. This is Angie Trueblood. I had to blink out on the name for a second. Angie Trueblood. I wanted to go with a very diverse cast, including a Native American for an informational assistant. Someone who's still going to night school, trying to become a librarian themselves. Have someone that can relate to Robin when it comes to going to college, even though she's a bit older. And, once again, I came up with the concept with the artist. We went back and forth on how she was supposed to look, how she was supposed to dress. And, she did a very good job visualizing her. Okay. Series turn up. I'm just a person, so probably you keep doing everything. And how would you design the TV show? I've already had the TV show planned because it started as a TV show first. So it would be so ironic if the novel series did get picked up for a TV show. I could just get on the pilot script and here you go. You don't even have to write it. It's already been written. I do have a cast in mind. People always have their dream cast of who would play who and everything like that. Naturally, I'd be an executive producer, putting in my 2 cents. Will definitely have complete creative control. I wouldn't want no one taking that away from me or anything like that. And I have a good blueprint of how the TV show would go if we ever went that far. Add into social media. Most of the character designs are on my social media. They've been tweeted. I put them on Twitter. I put them on my Instagram. I put them on my Facebook page. I really need to update it because I really haven't posted new stuff in a while. So you can pretty much see most of the character designs, they're out there. There's 13 of them. I plan to get another set done. I've been talking to the artist again. I've even been talking to other artists, different artists. So I can ask for different, visualizations of other characters. Be this looks good, but I wonder how someone else would draw Robin, or someone else would draw, the pages. Speaking of which, let's talk about Janelle Sims. One of the pages that was supposed to get Robin's position, Sonia pretty much promised it to her. Robin came along and pretty much took it and, leaving her out on a limb, per se. I came up with her character because, I really wanted someone that, people could relate to and see their plight. I wanted to tackle some social issues like teen pregnancy. Student has all her future in front of her and everything like that. Very brilliant, high IQ and everything. And one little mistake kind of torpedoed all that. So I really wanted to stress that out and see how people will relate to that situation. How cool. How did you design those? Like I said, I found an artist on Instagram and asked them to do commissions. This is Lakeisha Seabrook. She's another one of the pages that works at the branch, putting books away. Her character was very easy to develop. I wanted someone that, was like pretty much on the best of both worlds, biracial. Everybody keeps asking if I'm biracial. I'm not. Robin's not. But Lakeisha is. And she is very multi-talented. She's going to school. She wants to go to Juilliard to sing and everything like that. So I wanted a character that someone could relate to when it came to, like, talent. And, being raised by a black father and a white mother who are also Jehovah's Witnesses was an interesting character, effect that I wanted to put in to see how they live and everything like that. How long have you been writing? What do you love most about writing? I love everything about writing. I've been writing for a very long time. I was pretty much creative writing, back when I was younger, probably like around 10, 12. I did short stories. I did plays. I pretty much wrote almost everything. And it wasn't until I started blogging that, I took it seriously. When I was blogging my everyday life experiences while living in New York City and everything like that on my blog, Wasting Time with Jet, I got pretty much a fan base based on that. And a lot of people were really interested in how I described things, that whole stream of consciousness that was mentioned. People would consider reading my blogs and thinking it was something straight out of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Pretty much thought it was like a Hunter S. Thompson novel or something like that, because I was living a very crazy life, doing a lot of crazy things at the time. I was young. But yeah, writing's always been something I like to do. I like to read. I like, pretty much to express myself through my writing. And, it just became something that I took seriously and came up with this whole idea of a TV show that took place in a library, inspired by, the TV show The West Wing and the movie Clerks by Kevin Smith. Just people working and talking about everyday, like, philosophical conversations while they're working. Okay. Could you read us a chapter in your book? I can see this on Sci-Fi. Wow, that would be interesting. Okay, I did want to read an excerpt. I was gonna, answer a few more questions at first before trying to read like a chapter or two. I was wondering if anybody had any other questions, or had they read the book at all? I want to know what they thought so far, if they actually read it. What was their take on it or whatever? Because there are some members of the group that are on Goodreads. Some have left reviews for it. Some haven't. Some have added it to their library. And, I was wondering if just anybody here so far has, like, read it and, what they've been saying about it. The biggest complaint I've been hearing so far is that there have been too many characters. 13 is a magic number to follow when reading a book. And sometimes it got a little confusing when it comes to, like, scene transitions. And I'll admit, this is just my very first book. Maybe I could have, like, broke up scenes better or did the transitions better. I'm still learning. So, the biggest gripe has always been, like, he's talking about this and then he turns and switches up to talk about something else. And, I think there should have been like a break or something like that there or whatever. Scene breaks are good. They're helpful. I did put them in there. But, I didn't put them in every scene break, every transition. I let things flow for a while. And I guess, some people got lost. That's all I'm going to say about that. But I don't get the whole idea about too many characters, though. I really feel that, 13 is not really too much for a book. When I think of like other books that are out there, like, Game of Thrones, how many main characters are in that series? People have been able to follow that no problem. There's obviously more than 13 main characters in that series. And then I think of other books that are out there, maybe because it's a fantasy thing, they're able to relate to it or whatever. And this is just like, contemporary fiction. I don't know. I honestly had no problem with, writing 13 characters and, leveling the pretty much like the so-called screen time or like, the storylines that each person got. I think I pretty much leveled all their storylines equally. Each character got enough time and addressed on it. I don't know. I really distributed the drama for each person equally. There was like no like heavy or like one character getting left behind or anything like that. Okay, this is my first time hearing of you. I'm definitely checking it out. Thank you. Are you going to read a snippet? I am going to read a snippet. How did you find out? How did you find the indie process? I learned about it pretty much as I was going. I really thought that, I could go the traditional route, find the agent, do querying, and, they would show me the ropes. They would find like a publishing house that would like, consider it, market it, and like develop it for me and everything like that. But I dealt with a lot of rejections. I don't know if it was because my pitch was not up to par or writing samples I sent out were like, a bit off or whatever, but agents were just not hearing it. So, I actually had to go the self-publishing route. And in a way, I'm kind of glad I did because, for what I hear when it comes to traditional publishing, they have a tendency to take over the creative control and like, every aspect, is out of your hands. Someone once told me like, if you do get picked up, the first thing you're going to do is push your release date. You may want to release it this year. They're going to push it back a whole other year so they can like, craft you. So they can like, mold you and start marketing you with like little snippets here and there. So you don't even get the control when the book comes out. You don't control like the price. They set the price for you. And, a lot of the decisions are out of your hands. So I like being in charge myself. I like doing the whole self-publishing route, doing all the decisions myself. But all that responsibility and all that marketing and all that legwork that you do yourself with no help, it adds up. And, it's been a learning experience for me, doing all this. And, I definitely will do things a little different coming out for the second book, you might say. I'm learning from my mistakes here and there. Okay, are you going to read a snippet? Right. I would like to read a snippet, I guess, because I'm not getting any more questions. And I don't know. This discussion is going kind of light. Excuse me for a moment. all this talking is making me lose my voice a little bit here, so I will try to read, find a good snippet to read, ask if anybody has any more questions, and I don't know. I guess we could wrap this up at 9 or 8 for most of you out there. I'm on Eastern Standard Time, so it's 8:40 for me, 7:40 for y'all, or anybody else that's like, around the world. What would be a good part to read? I don't want to like review any spoilers or whatever, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of you that haven't read the book yet, and I want to find a scene that might be too important. Okay. Give me a moment here. I'm still so nervous. Darren, I was waiting for you to come in. Brooklyn in the house. My man. You've been one of my biggest supporters from the jump. Pretty sure you've read the whole book already. And, probably got some good opinions about it. But let me think of a good snippet here to read. Probably like the end of chapter 2. Let's see. Okay, I think I found a part here I think I could read. Okay. So this scene is like one of my favorite scenes I like because it's based on an actual experience. Like I would say 20% of the book. A lot of people keep asking me how real is the novel and everything. Did I do most of the things that Robin does? And I say, no, I did not do all that. I did that. It's all made up. It's all fictitious. Just using dramatic license. And, hopefully people don't think that I'm actually going to be like, threatening people by hanging them off the roof or something like that. It's not something I would do. It was just fiction. But anywho, this part I'm going to read here is from chapter 3 at the end of Robin's very first day when he arrives at the branch and, he's rubbing elbows, pretty much trying to like establish himself. It's the end of the day. He is obligated to leave at 5 o'clock when the branch closes at 6. But he chose to stay the last hour and hang out with the clerks at the end of the day, just, break the ice and see what's going on with them and anything like that. And they pretty much ask him a couple of questions of why you chose to work for the library and anything like that. People ask me that all the time, what drew you to that, why you were going to school, what made you just want to just start working for the library of all places. So Robin tells this nice story about his childhood that, I actually did use during the job interview. And, I felt it was very heartwarming or whatever. So it's the end of the day. It's Robin, Jerry, and Ethel. Ethel Jenkins and Jerry Coltrane. They're pretty much doing checkouts for the evening. It's the last hour. And Robin's just hanging out with them, and they're pretty much asking him, why did he decide to work for the library? So Robin and Jerry has this thing they were doing where they were testing each other about their call numbers. They would say a call number and the other one would know what the subject is. And, you pretty much memorize them when you start working as a page, and they just stay in there. I could pretty much, write them out now, and just off the top of my head, I would know the subject upon reading a call number for that book or whatever. So I'm going to start reading this scene now, and bear with me because, not really good at the whole narration thing. I'm not a Morgan Freeman type here. So as I'm reading this, I may miss a word or, mess up a line here or there. So but here's this little snippet of it. Jerry, Ethel, and Robin stood at their separate corners behind the circulation desk, still quiet from the early outburst. It was 15 minutes until closing. Zoology, Robin quickly asked. 591.03, Jerry answered. Robin said, "Damn, you're good for someone who hasn't put away a book in 8 years." The two shared a laugh. Robin nodded to Ethel. "She as good as you?" Ethel replied, "Nah, in my day, we didn't say call numbers. They were Dewey Decimals, and I've long since forgotten them by now." "So, Microsoft, huh? You reaching for the stars there, computer genius?" Jerry asked. "Windows 95 will change the world, Jerry. Bill Gates is an innovator," Robin replied. "Uh-huh. What about Steve Jobs?" "Who the hell is Steve Jobs?" Robin asked. Jerry rolled his eyes. "Okay. Next question then, computer whiz. Why the library?" Robin shrugged. "Why not? When I was 9, my grandfather brought me to Fort Washington for the very first time, and I saw all those books. I was amazed by the place. I developed my reading skills early. It was my favorite subject. Schools were the only place I thought you could get books, so I told him when I left I wanted to go to the library to learn as my new school." He laughed and explained that it wasn't a school. It was a special place where anybody could borrow books to read for a while, and as long as they promised to bring them back. I didn't believe in such a place until we were walking home. When we got back, I looked up and asked him, "What do they call the people who work in that place?" And he said they're called librarians. So I said, that's what I want to be when I grow up, a librarian. Jerry and Ethel reflected on the touching story for a moment in silence. "That's just a load of crap, right?" Jerry asked. Robin smiled. "Yeah. When I was 9, I wanted to be an astronaut. But that's what I said at the job interview, so here I am." That brought a gasp of laughter from Ethel while Jerry shook his head and smiled. "You know what, man? You're all right." He stepped forward and held his hand out. Robin slapped him 5 with his left hand. Jerry noticed and pointed. "Now, about that, how'd you get Sonia to let you keep that glove on?" Robin smirked. "We're really going to have a conversation about fashion while you look standing there looking like you from God. While we're really going to have a conversation about fashion while you standing there looking like you from a junkyard in Watts living with your father." That was a Sanford and Son joke. Jerry blinked real hard while Ethel laughed again. It was her turn to slap Robin 5 at the quip. Angie Trueblood walked into the center of the room and announced, "The library will be closing in 10 minutes. If you have any materials you wish to check out, please do so now." Jerry and Ethel snapped back to attention as the patrons lined up in front of Ethel while she processed their items for borrowing. "Come on, funny guy, let me show you how to work the cash register," Jerry called to Robin. As Robin stepped forward to meet Jerry at the cash register, he called out, "Architecture. You know, it was cool until you dissed my clothes. Oh, come on, just one more." 720.02, Jerry answered with a sigh. So, yeah, I kind of messed up that reading a little bit, but you get the idea. Robin's one of those dedicated types that, from the very beginning when he worked at Fort Washington at first, then transferring to 58th Street, he was taught to respect patrons and always, have good morals when it comes to treating everyone fair. So naturally, he clashes with Augustus and his favoritism right off the bat. There's another good scene that I'm not giving away towards the middle of the book where he stands up to Augustus and quotes a certain line, a credo that was taught to him. And that's pretty much going to be like the consensus of the conflict throughout the whole series. It's pretty much traditionalism versus favoritism. The haves and the have-nots. And that's the real, basis for the story. So if anybody has any other questions at the moment, was there a reason behind choosing this unisex name? Yes, that's based from real life experience. That's one of the few things that, is real from the novel. When I arrived at 58th Street, they thought I was a woman too because my name is unisex. I'm not telling you my real name, but, on my employee file, I was, put down as a Mrs. instead of Mr. And I didn't want to use my real name, obviously, so I came up with other unisex names. I considered Tracy for a while, Tracy Walker, because that's also unisex. It could be a guy's name as well as a girl's name. But eventually I stuck with Robin because I was inspired by my two favorite comedians at the time, Robin Harris from Bebe's Kids and Robin Williams. Unfortunately, they're both dead now, but I considered them the funniest comedians in the world ever. And, Robin Walker pretty much sounded like a good name to grow with. And the whole unisex thing, them expecting a woman and getting thrown off by a guy, it was an aspect some people didn't like, but like I said, that was taken from real experiences. So, they thought it was kind of a gimmick or something like that, but, I had to keep some aspects real. So that was the reason for that. Any other questions? Okay. Well, I see there's only 2 people watching now, and my voice is getting very hoarse. I really should have thought more about this before doing it. I want to thank everybody that attended and watched this. Like I said, the book is Call Numbers. It's been out since June. If you know anybody else about it, any book bloggers that might be interested in it, please refer them to it. I'm really looking for some exposure here. When it comes to book bloggers, I have to say that, I've been getting a lot of support from non-POC book bloggers. All my bloggers, most of my reviews have been from Europeans and whites and, not people of my color. I don't know where they are. I only had one YouTube blogger do a review, and it wasn't really too favorable. I don't think they took it seriously. But, take what I can. And like I said, I want to thank everybody for watching this. If they have any questions, if they're interested in the art, like I said, they're all out there. My Tumblr is Never Fear Smith is Writing. My Facebook page is 10 Times Round. I don't know if anybody will get the joke for the title of that, Facebook page, unless they actually, went to me elementary school and remember the actual textbook that it's based on. Follow me on Twitter, Syntell Smith. On Instagram, I'm still known as JetBlack927. Other things that are coming up, I have a book fair locally here in Warren, Michigan. I'm doing an event for Sweetest Day in October that's also in Michigan. I plan on doing actual chapter commentaries, a series of each chapter, talking about chapter 1, chapter 2. I plan on starting that probably in October or November when the year, like on the anniversary of when I started writing and going into the self-publishing route. Okay. Did I use a character or story map? No, I didn't. I pretty much had like everything outlined. I did have a character database I used to like keep all the details of everybody, in place in case I forgot something like that. I didn't use a story map. I pretty much just outlined everything as I was, writing. Was it hard to keep up with all the storylines? No, it wasn't. A lot of people felt that, it was hard for them to follow them. As I was coming up with them, it was easy. I really treated it like a TV show. Characters have subplots all the time on TV shows. It's not always from A to B or whatever. So I was able to come up with some good story plots that, I pretty much, I wrapped up most of them by the end of the book, even though it ends on a cliffhanger. But, everybody's like little subplots are wrapped up. I didn't leave nothing tangling, nothing like that. So the storylines, they were very easy to manage. I distributed them very equally among the characters. Didn't have no problems with that at all. I didn't know you used a pseudonym. Yes, Syntell is not my real name. It's a pen name. It is my middle name, though. I used my middle name and my mother's maiden name. That's pretty much where it comes from. Syntell Smith. My mother was Marietta Smith at the time, but, she got married, and now, she goes by a different name now. So, yeah, that's a pen name. That's a pseudonym. That's not my real name. I still, respond to it, though. I may actually change it, to my official name. That would be nice. Any other questions? That's a great question. Thank you so much for taking your time out tonight. We enjoyed you. I'm sure the reviews and exposure will be coming soon. Stay focused. I plan to. I am very focused. The book trailer was very nice. I want to thank everybody that worked on that as well. Miss Raquel Chante de Lemos is very talented with the trailer. Tell us your real name, you won't tell. No, I'm sorry, you're not gonna. That's not gonna happen. I'm pretty sure if you dig deep enough, you could probably find it because I do have multiple profiles on Facebook and Instagram. But no, I'm not telling you that. Not now. Thank you everyone else for watching. This was great. And like I said, I have a whole lot of other things in store. I'm gonna probably try to bring back the old blog into a podcast. So keep a lookout for Wasting Time with Jet, the podcast. Probably like September or October. I don't know. I got a lot of stuff to do. Stealing time out of life's away. I love it now. All right. Thanks a lot, Darian. Peace to everybody else. It's been great. Have a good night. And, check the book out. Give it a good read. You read it, I'll read your book. Support each other. All right.